Imagine a world without chocolate. No chocolate bars. No chocolate cakes. No hot chocolate on a cold evening. It's hard to imagine, right? Because today, chocolate is everywhere. Supermarkets, coffee shops, birthdays, holidays. Every year, humans consume millions of tons of chocolate. But here's something strange. Chocolate didn't start as a dessert. In fact, when humans first discovered chocolate, it was bitter, sacred, and even used as money. Kings drank it. Warriors valued it. And entire civilizations believed it was a gift from the gods. So the question is, how did a sacred ancient drink become one of the most addictive foods on earth? This is the incredible story of chocolate. A story of gods, empires, colonization, industrial revolutions, and human desire. And by the end of this video, you'll realize something surprising. Chocolate didn't just change how we eat. It helped shape the modern world. More than 3,500 years ago, deep in the tropical rainforests of Central America, ancient civilizations discovered something unusual. A strange fruit growing on trees. Inside that fruit were small seeds. Those seeds were called cacao beans. But unlike today's chocolate, these beans were extremely bitter. If you tasted them raw, you probably wouldn't enjoy them at all. But ancient people were curious. They experimented. They roasted the beans, crushed them, mixed them with water. And slowly, something remarkable happened. They created a drink. A powerful, energizing drink. One that felt almost magical. The earliest known civilization to use cacao was the Olmecs. They lived in what is now southern Mexico around 1500 BCE. We don't know everything about them. But historians believe the Olmecs were the first people to transform cacao beans into a drink. And they believed it had spiritual power. Because cacao wasn't just food. It was something sacred. Something mystical. But the story of chocolate was only just beginning. Hundreds of years later, another powerful civilization rose in Central America. The Maya. And for the Maya, cacao wasn't just important. It was sacred. They believed cacao was a gift from the gods. In fact, Mayan legend said the gods gave cacao to humans after creating humanity. Chocolate became part of religious ceremonies. It was used in weddings, rituals, and royal feasts. But here's something surprising. Mayan chocolate looked nothing like modern chocolate. It wasn't sweet. It wasn't creamy. Instead, it was dark, bitter, and often mixed with spices. Sometimes they added chili peppers, cornmeal, herbs. The drink was called zacalotl. That word would eventually evolve into the word we know today. Chocolate. But for the Maya, chocolate was more than just a drink. It was a symbol of power and status. Only elites and nobles could enjoy it regularly. For ordinary people, cacao was rare and incredibly valuable. But the next civilization would take that idea even further. Because for them, chocolate became money. By the 14th century, a powerful empire ruled Central America. The Aztecs. And they loved cacao. But there was a problem. Cacao trees didn't grow well in the Aztec capital. So cacao became incredibly valuable. So valuable, in fact, that cacao beans became currency. Yes. Money. Historians found records showing 10 cacao beans could buy a rabbit. 100 beans could buy a turkey. Thousands could buy land or luxury goods. Imagine paying for groceries with chocolate beans. But cacao wasn't just money. It was also considered a drink for warriors and rulers. The famous Aztec Emperor Montezuma reportedly drank dozens of cups of chocolate every day. Not for pleasure, but for energy and strength. Because chocolate was believed to be a powerful stimulant. And in many ways, it actually was. Cacao contains natural chemicals that boost mood and energy. Even today, chocolate triggers dopamine in the brain. The same chemical connected to pleasure and addiction. But the Aztec chocolate world was about to change forever. Because soon, strangers arrived from across the ocean. In the early 1500s, Spanish explorers arrived in the Americas, led by Hernán Cortés. When they encountered the Aztec civilization, they also discovered cacao. At first, the Spanish didn't like it. The drink was too bitter, too strange, too different from anything in Europe. But they noticed something important. The Aztecs valued cacao enormously, and that meant it had economic potential. So the Spanish took cacao beans back to Europe. But they made a few changes. They removed the chili. They added sugar. And suddenly, chocolate transformed. It became sweeter, richer, more enjoyable. And European elites fell in love with it. For centuries, chocolate became a luxury drink for the wealthy. Kings, queens, and aristocrats enjoyed it in royal courts across Europe. Chocolate houses opened in cities like London, Paris, and Madrid. They were like early coffee shops, places where wealthy people gathered to drink chocolate and discuss politics. But chocolate was still a drink. Solid chocolate bars didn't exist yet. That would come much later. And it would require something revolutionary. For hundreds of years, chocolate remained a luxury product. Rare, expensive, exclusive. But everything changed in the 19th century. During the Industrial Revolution, machines began transforming industries. And chocolate was no exception. In 1828, a Dutch inventor named Coenraad van Houten created a machine that could press cacao beans. This separated cocoa butter from cocoa powder. Suddenly, chocolate became smoother, easier to mix, and much cheaper to produce. This invention changed everything. Soon after, companies began experimenting. In 1847, the first solid chocolate bar was created. Then came another breakthrough. Swiss chocolatiers discovered how to add milk. And milk chocolate was born. This made chocolate sweeter, creamier, and far more appealing to the masses. Brands began forming. Names that would eventually become global giants. Cadbury, Nestle, Hershey. Chocolate was no longer just for kings. Now it was for everyone. And soon, it would become one of the most popular foods on Earth. Today, chocolate is a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Every year, humans consume more than 7 million tons of chocolate. Countries like Switzerland, Germany, the United States are among the biggest consumers. But here's something interesting. Most cacao isn't grown there. In fact, about 70% of the world's cacao comes from West Africa. Countries like Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria produce the majority of the world's chocolate supply. Millions of farmers depend on cacao farming. But the industry also faces serious challenges: low wages, environmental concerns, and debates about fair trade. Chocolate might seem simple, but behind every chocolate bar is a complex global system. A system built over centuries of trade, innovation, and demand. But perhaps the most fascinating part of chocolate's story is human psychology. Because chocolate isn't just food. It's something deeper. Have you ever wondered why chocolate feels so irresistible? Why so many people crave it? The answer lies in chemistry. Chocolate contains compounds that affect the brain. For example, theobromine, a natural stimulant similar to caffeine. Phenylethylamine, sometimes called the love chemical. And when we eat chocolate, our brain releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in pleasure and reward. That's why chocolate often feels comforting. Why people eat it when they're happy, or stressed, or celebrating. Chocolate became connected to emotion, love, joy, reward. And over time, it became part of human culture. Valentine's Day, birthdays, holidays. Chocolate is no longer just a food. It's a symbol of happiness. But there's something ironic about this story. Because thousands of years ago, chocolate wasn't sweet. It wasn't candy. It was a bitter sacred drink used in rituals. Which brings us to the final reflection. Chocolate's journey is extraordinary. It began in the rainforests of Central America. Discovered by ancient civilizations. Used in sacred rituals. Valued as money. Then it crossed oceans. Transformed by sugar. Revolutionized by machines. And today, it fills supermarket shelves around the world. From sacred drink to global addiction, chocolate is more than just a treat. It's a reminder of something deeper about humanity. Our endless curiosity, our ability to transform nature, and our desire to turn simple discoveries into global phenomena. The next time you eat a piece of chocolate, think about the journey behind it. Thousands of years of history, millions of people involved, and a small bean that changed the world.